Kenya's private investigative industry is one of the biggest in Africa.
A private investigator is a spy. There's no two words about it.
And one detective is feared above all others. Her name is Jane.
I think I'm the most hunted woman in the world by the criminals. I don't stop working until I get my target.
Jane Mugo is my country's most famous private investigator. Some say that her and her team are dangerous.
Private investigator Jane Mugo has been listed as a wanted criminal by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations.
Spy queen Jane Wawira Mugo this afternoon denied charges of threatening to kill when she appeared before a Milimani court.
But to others, she's a hero.
Jane, she's not a criminal. Jane is a hero. He's a private detective, lakini atafanya kazi kuliko wale ambao wameajiriwa na serikali.
Jane is celebrated for solving hundreds of serious crimes.
I am the best in the world. In Africa, in Kenya, nobody can beat me up. What from my pocket? What do you want?
But has Kenya's private investigative industry gone too far? Should ordinary citizens be wielding the power of the police?
Yeah, but some person is supposed to be very discreet. Because the person is not supposed to know that we are monitoring the account.
I'm journalist Sharon Mashira. I've spent months exploring the secretive world of Kenya's private investigators. This is the inside story of my country's most loved and most feared spy. Nairobi. Private investigators make big money here. With Kenya's police deeply mistrusted, people are increasingly turning to private detectives to find justice. Experts estimate that this secretive industry is worth millions of dollars every year. But with no formalized training or regulation, some fear that this hidden army of spies are taking the law into their own hands. And no one in the world of private investigators is more controversial than Jane Mugo.
Police say Jane Wawira Mugo, a self-styled private detective, is a serial offender now on the run and have issued a warrant for her arrest.
In 2019, Jane's image as Kenya's most secretive and successful PI was shattered. Police accused her of making violent threats and a number of serious crimes stretching back more than 5 years.
In 2015, she was accused and charged with detaining a man for hours after forcing him to pay her 440,000 shillings.
Jane denied the charges and was released on bail. She claims that the case against her is a witch hunt.
Jane says that her warrant of arrest has been fueled by an investigation case she has been working on that reveals alleged corruption amongst top security officials in government.
With her court case looming at the time of filming, Jane is in the greatest crisis of her life and could face years in jail. I want to meet the woman herself. These could be her last days of freedom.
She's a fascinating character, extremely badass. She's a private citizen just like me, but she does some of the toughest jobs that the police do. I'm talking about solving crimes, kidnappings, murder cases, and men are afraid of her, like high-profile men.
Jane has many enemies, and access to her is closely guarded. It took weeks of tense negotiations before she agreed to meet with me. She lives in a secret compound on the outskirts of Nairobi. I was met at her gate by Jane's right-hand man and head of security. A man only known as Charlie One.
Is he...
No, he's okay.
Is he okay?
Yeah. We'll take this for madam. All right, just hold on. We're requesting permission to enter.
Okay. I had no idea what to expect.
All right, it's okay. You can come in. Come. It's okay. Come on. It's all right. You can pass. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay. You can pass. Let's hold on. Come.
After that introduction, Jane finally emerged.
Oh, hey, girl.
Hi, salama. Good to see you.
Jane wanted to show me around her compound. She explained that her dogs weren't just for her own protection.
We normally have 4 dogs. 2 have already been hired for assignment, and 2 of them are 24 hours in my compound.
Who is the one that I just met?
The one you just met, I think, should be Hitler. He's the father of all. And
His name is Hitler?
He's Hitler. He hits very hard, and we love him. And
Why
he's actually...
do you call him Hitler?
Definitely, when you hear the word Hitler, it comes from the word hit. He hit on everyone, especially our enemies, of course, not friends like you, because you are my friend.
So do you...
So you should feel at home, actually. I don't know why you're scared.
Do they... Oh, my God.
Hitler, hold! Order! Be a good boy! Hitler, order! Be a good boy! No attack! So, mommy?
Jane personally trained all the security dogs, including her favorite, Hitler. She's constantly surrounded by a team of bodyguards who also work as her investigators. Many are ex-police. She told me sometimes they're hired to spy on political opponents during elections.
Sometimes, like politicians, let me be specific, will tell us, I want you to give me somebody who can be a bodyguard and an intelligence officer during the campaign time. So we can go and fit with the other team opponents and get information about what is happening.
Spying for and against politicians for a living has made Jane a major target. She's rigged her compound with CCTV cameras. And her home is full of secret cameras, hidden in everyday objects.
When you look at number 10, you can see the camera over there.
Oh, yes,
There's
a small camera.
There's a small
really
camera.
tiny camera just
Over there, but also
On the 0.
Yes, can you see this, number 10? The camera is over here, you can look at it.
Oh, it's tiny.
Yes.
She even hides them in her children's toys and sometimes uses them to spy on others.
This looks like is that a teddy bear?
Yeah, this is a teddy bear. The main teddy bear is already on duty somewhere. Of course,
It's-
I'm not going to
you already
mention
have-
where.
You have one of these already.
But a
on
big
duty.
one, yes, but I won't tell you where.
Okay.
Yes.
Jane's private investigative work has put dozens of criminals behind bars. Death threats are a constant reality for her and her 2 children. Even meals in the privacy of her own home require caution.
There's a time like people are trying to poison me. That was about 2018. So I'm a bit careful when I'm going out to have my lunch.
To test for poison, she won't eat food unless someone tries it first. Charlie Wan has an extra long spoon specifically for this.
That's okay.
Not even her personal chef is above suspicion.
So she's testing to see if it's
Yeah, the food is there. The fruits are okay. And also she can also taste the mango. I'll eat from what she
Do you
has
actually
tasted.
do this every single day?
Can you imagine? That's my life. The people I can't trust have made me to just get between all this throughout my life.
So how do you know when you're being paranoid or when you're just being careful?
I think it's in my blood system. So it's like, it's automatic. I don't need even to tell her. Like, if she brings food, she knows that's what we does in the house.
My first meeting with Jane was tense, but seemed to go well. It's hard to believe that in her previous life, she trained to be a nun. A few days later, she invited us to her operations hub in the heart of Nairobi. We began to get a glimpse into her day-to-day life. As we enter her office, it's immediately obvious that Jane rules her staff with an iron fist.
Where's your badge? You don't have your badge today. A client can come in and you don't even have a badge for the company, and then they ask you, who are you? Stand up. So good morning.
It's from here that Jane directs her investigations, backed by a team of 10 private detectives.
I think the head of department can maybe brief me on 1 or 2. Maybe we can start by Charlie.
Jane's fame means her services are in high demand.
I'm not able to give you my fee before I get an instruction letter from the client through a lawyer.
People come to her wanting information on cheating spouses, stolen items, and from time to time, violent crimes. Jane's investigations are highly confidential, but she was keen for us to see her in action.
So where's the scene of murder's formation?
We followed her to the scene of a suspected murder in February 2020. The family of the victim felt that the police had failed to adequately investigate the case, so they turned to Jane.
So according to you, maybe he was tortured or something. Did you see some blood around here or maybe like in the tree?
No blood.
Yes?
No blood.
No blood, nothing. Did he have any bruises all over the face?
No.
The hands?
No.
The body had been found in the trees, reportedly with signs of mutilation. Jane's team swept the crime scene for any evidence they could find.
What is this? Could it have been food?
Yeah, maybe. From my naked eye,
Yes.
It actually looks like blood, but we can take it for some checking.
Maybe you can do to the
confirm
knowledge.
if it's actually blood.
Okay, there's a difference between bread and the tomato sauce or chili. Is this food, chips or something? What are remain? These are remains for what? Look like a burger. Oh my God, like a donut.
Despite her unconventional methods, Jane noticed crucial details that the police report appeared to have missed.
Chui, I'm not going to hang you. Don't fear. Remove this for me. I just want to be a bit practical, guys.
The details must remain secret, but after weeks of investigation, Jane says she solved this case, finally bringing closure to the victim's grieving family. In a country like Kenya, where there's often deep distrust of the police, private investigators can play an important role in securing justice. But how powerful have they become? Investigators like Jane are allowed to carry licensed weapons and are increasingly involved in police operations.
I am the best in the world. In Africa, in Kenya, nobody can beat me up.
Her team regularly work for high-ranking politicians, which gives them a degree of political protection. Critics fear that the lines between private investigators and vigilantes are becoming blurred.
Have you ever had to shoot someone?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what we call a headshot.
A bullet hole is smaller than I thought.
Yeah, but when it actually goes inside, it actually rips. It's bigger inside. Yeah.
Jane's team's methods are highly controversial, but she was keen to show me how effective they can be. She keeps detailed records of all her investigations.
You're very meticulous. Look at
Yes.
all these.
In total, she estimates that her team have solved more than 300 cases, putting 71 criminals in jail.
I've solved murder cases, robbery cases of theft and civil.
By working with government and the police, Jane is able to access huge amounts of normally private data, mobile phone call logs, text message history, and banking records.
So the issue of, privacy, because everyone has a right to their own privacy.
Yes.
Where is that line?
When it comes to privacy, you have your personal life, you have your privacy. But if you are a criminal, Lily, what type of privacy do you need as a criminal?
But not everyone agrees that PIs should have access to this kind of information. Their cozy relationship with politicians and the police gives them enormous power. Even within the security industry, critics fear that people like Jane are becoming untouchable.
A lot of these private investigators are former military officers, former police officers. They know how to work through the system. They know how to subjugate the system. They know how to corrupt the system. So even if you would wish to sue them for violations on your privacy, for human rights violations or whatever it is, then it will be arguably very hard. Because you can imagine if this is a senior officer who has retired from the military or the police force, then you'll be accusing him to his colleagues.
During our research into private investigators, we discovered widespread evidence of unethical activity by a number of individuals. One of the companies we approached was Nairobi-based Silver Edge Investigators. Their website advertises a range of dubious services, including mobile spying. The pictures of their team are fake, lifted from stock photos online. We wanted to test if they'd be willing to break the law and breach people's privacy. So we sent an undercover journalist to meet with them. She posed as a potential client, a woman who suspected her husband was cheating.
So do you think you'll be able to prove if he's cheating or not?
because it's something I've been doing since 2009.
Martin told her that he could hack her husband's phone after installing so-called spy software.
Once you install that one, you're able to access SMS, WhatsApp calls, location, photos and videos. It's like everything from that phone.
He said he could access the husband's bank transactions as well.
What of tracking like his bank accounts, bank transition, is that possible?
It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that one is supposed to be very true because the person is not supposed to know that we are monitoring the account.
The things he's willing to do are completely illegal. And it's troubling because private investigators are actually meant to be solving crimes, not seemingly willing to commit a crime. It just shows you how broken this system is.
The operative asked if it would be possible to honey trap the husband in order to capture incriminating photos. Martin, again, said that he could.
If I want to test my husband's fidelity, can you guys send a lady over to lure him and just to get explicit photos? Is that possible with you guys?
We sent a lady, which is very much possible because we are going to send a lady with the cameras. Not even the cameras, even the lady can see, we can do some photos with the phone. When they are in the room, the lady can take things.
Okay.
Yes. Then we give you the photos.
Martin's price for the whole package, hacking a phone, a bank account, social media profiles, and setting up a honey trap, was just under $3,000. All these actions are illegal here in Kenya. I'm slowly beginning to realize why some people believe that this industry is out of control. We reached out to Martin Kamau and Silver Edge for comment, but they didn't respond to our allegations against them. I want to know what senior figures in the security world feel about Jane. Do they see her as a rogue investigator, or is she widely respected? Paul Mwangi is a private detective who's worked with Jane extensively. He is adamant that criticism of her is unfounded.
He's a good detective, lakini huwezi kuja kuonga yeye ati awachane na hiyo kesi. Yeye anararaga bila uzingizi, akikimbizana na wakora wale ambaye wameua, wale wameiba robbery, hata wale wameiba kwa bank. Kwa hivyo wakisema Jane ati anafanyaga kazi ya ukora, hiyo ni uongo.
Others in the industry disagree. Delano Kilo is the head of Prozac, the largest association of private security companies in Kenya.
Unfortunately, from what we have been able to observe, she has been involved in quite a lot of malpractice. There have been allegations of gun brandishing, threatening staff, illegal arrests, also taking money by menace. Those kind of things surround her name.
But Jane's thousands of loyal followers on social media don't care about criticism like this. As her court case loomed, she spent her time on bail making videos for them and playing with her kids.
Is anybody want to dance with me? Yeah.
She may look relaxed, but this is a dangerous time for Jane. She told us a kidnapping attempt was made on her child, and she's potentially facing years in prison. But despite these threats, she's still determined to use her platform to challenge her political enemies.
But I want to be very honest, I have never been interested in politics in my lifetime because I think politics is a dirty game. We must be able to expose the evil in our country. We must be able to say no to corruption.
Jane and her team are in a constant state of high alert. To ensure her safety, she regularly puts her squad through grueling training sessions.
Excuse me, what do you want from my boss? What do you want from my boss? What do you want? What do you want? Can you see this? Can you breathe? He can't even breathe.
Jane has a taekwondo certificate and was keen to show me her moves.
So you need to surrender. Can you feel it?
Surrender.
It is a very good method of protecting yourself in case you don't have a gun, you don't have a pepper spray, you cannot fight taekwondo like Mugo. So it is one of the weapons you should be able to know whether you are a woman or a man.
You can do taekwondo.
I can do taekwondo, but my uniform.
Show me some moves.
You can do it. Jane, you have Target here. And then you make the person fall down. Sorry, my girl, wake up. So that's what you do it.
Wow. Have you been in situations where you've actually had to defend people?
Yeah, actually I've done it. I've defended police officers. I love my job, I love justice, and I was born in it. It is in my blood system. Fighting for justice is in my blood system.
No. Hard.
The rest of the training is led by Jane's right-hand man, Charlie Wan. He uses his years of foreign military experience to put the team through a series of brutal drills. He claims his men are even better trained than the US Special Forces.
Go! We do our training in accordance to the guidelines of the Navy SEALs.
The same standard as the Navy SEALs.
Probably even better. Yeah. That's the reason why we're the best in Africa. Go! Yes, good. So, power in your punch. All right?
The training is relentless, even during meal times.
We're still teaching them to endure pain, to endure. Break you.
Charlie Wan then showed us how, if captured and tortured, members of his team will never give up information.
No, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Oh, I don't know anything. Let me go. Let me go, please.
When you look at me, you can see I'm going to break you. I'm asking for the last time. Will you tell us what we want?
Charlie Wan hinted that the team used similar methods during their real interrogations of suspects. Do you have to do that difficult type of interrogation yourself?
We actually do worse than that. We actually do more than that. But this is just simulation for you, but we actually do more than that.
I've already told you.
Will you tell us what we want to hear?
He claims these methods are needed to save lives.
There is no harm in using a bit of force in extracting information from you, which will help save lives. Okay? As much as the Geneva Convention prohibits torture, but ours is not torture, but it's
You were talking about a lot of force.
Or polite force.
Polite force.
Yeah, polite force.
Not everyone in the security industry shares Charlie Wan's opinion on use of polite force during investigations.
There's no such thing as polite force. It is simply force, and it is wrong to use force.
So if someone from Jane's team says that they use polite force sometimes, what could that mean?
The question we have to ask here, Sharon, very specifically, who gave them that authority to use polite force? There is no one in private security, under any act, regulation, or law in Kenya, who has been given permission to use polite force.
Jane claims that her team only used such methods on criminals and never harassed people. Throughout our time together, her looming court case seemed to hang over her. But there's one place that Jane can go where she doesn't feel hunted. Her home village in Kirinyaga County. This is her sanctuary. She's welcomed like a queen. People here love Jane so much. So I'm from the same sort of culture and tribe as Jane, the Kikuyu community, and that's the kind of reception you get on your wedding day. Even the nearby police station is nicknamed after her. Nobody here sees Jane as a threat to society. In this community, she's seen as a hero. How does that make you feel, seeing how she's become almost like a celebrity?
We are proud because she's our daughter. Yeah, to others, she's their sister. To others, a gratitude daughter.
Despite all the celebrations, I sensed Jane's emotions were on edge. The court case and the threats against her children were taking their toll. As the crowds left, I found her alone in the church. I needed to confront her about the allegations against her. And this was my last chance.
In the media,
Yes.
they say, certain things about you. They say, that you're a criminal.
Yeah.
What would be your response to that?
The people who responded negatively are 3 people, either criminal I've investigated, either suspect rotting in jail, or corrupt police who think Jane Mugo is a threat to us.
So the charges were not true?
It was done by specific people who was investigating because of corruption.
And how did all that make you feel? What is running through your mind?
To be honest, even today, I'm not afraid about my life. I don't fear death, I don't fear anything. But my children, my son was doing Form 4 that time. They wanted to kidnap my son. They went to my son's school. I've never been affected in my lifetime. I have never felt down like this particular moment, especially it was done by people I know. People I've worked with, people I've trusted.
Betrayal and death threats. Jane's investigative work almost destroyed her and her family in 2020. But a few days after we finished filming, criminal charges against her were finally dropped. She's already pursuing dozens of new cases. The jury is still out on Kenya's private investigators. Reform and regulation is needed to keep this secretive and powerful industry in check. But for now, at least, Jane Mugo is free to fight another day.
Matunda ndorushwa mawe wataki kukuna hai tumekupiga ila mama nawe kweli nchi imekutetea free